This new game is rivaling Battlefield. This one looks like PUBG. This one is rivaling Path of Exile. This one is completely insane. This one is being made by a single developer, and this one has completely taken over Steam. Every year, new free PC games come out, but there are just way too many. So this is why I've spent the last 2 weeks compiling the new free Steam games you need to play. This is Undercovered Dudes, and these are the top 20 new free-to-play Steam games of 2022 and 23. So let's get straight into it. A game that is getting a lot of traction right now is Polygon, a free-to-play low-poly first-person shooter. This game visually looks a lot like an upscaled Krunker.io, but the gameplay is more hardcore like Battlefield with its huge maps and large-scale fights with up to 32 players. Weapons are customizable to your liking, and there are a lot of weapons to choose from, which is great. Now, the visuals are the thing that really separates this game, but it also means it's quite easy to run with only an i3 processor and the GTX 460 being required. Lots of positive reviews on Steam, highly underrated game, check it out. Undecember is a hack and slash action RPG that is heavily inspired by Path of Exile and Diablo, with its isometric camera and looter nature coming through very strongly. However, it's more than just the camera angle, as the combat is very much front and center, with it being fluid and in-depth with a large amount of abilities and enemy types. Undecember also features a big focus on its rune system, which generates an almost infinite number of skill combinations, bringing forward tons of content. To top it off, Undecember supports cross-platform play between PC, iOS, and Android, perfect for gamers on the go. Before we move on, given the rise of unskippable ads on Twitch, if you want a new browser with a powerful inbuilt ad blocker, then make sure to try out Brave. It's by far the best browser, and you can also earn free money. So if you want to try it out and help support the channel, then install Brave browser on PC and mobile by clicking the link in the description below. Next, we have the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Ring of Elysium inspired title, and it's called Super People. The core concept is Battle Royale through and through. Hop in with your squad, kill some enemies, and be the last team standing. And the actual game mechanics like moving and shooting feel exactly like PUBG. However, where Super People differs is with the addition of classes, each with unique abilities and perks. As the game progresses, you level up too, gaining traits, unlocking abilities, and so on, which feels pretty good. And overall, it's fun and arguably better than PUBG, so definitely worth a shot, especially now that it's fully launched. A great free-to-play indie game is Atzlan Uncovered, a short story-focused adventure game where it's Tomb Raider meets time travel. In this game, a new archaeological site has been found, and it's up to you to explore it using your abilities and equipment, in particular to go back in time. Gameplay-wise, it's pretty straightforward, and that follows onto the puzzles. They're fairly easy to solve, so really anybody can play this game. Now, it doesn't have the best graphics, but that really doesn't matter. It's a nice free-to-play game that gives something a bit different to the scene, and best of all, it can run really easily on any PC. A game I have a huge soft spot for is AVA Global, the 2022 relaunch of the classic 2007 Korean first-person shooter. Once in the top spot for the best free-to-play FPS, AVA was sadly shut down in the West many years ago. Fast forward to 2022 and NeoWiz is now back in charge, trying to relive its former glory with AVA's super straightforward but hugely nostalgic movement, gunplay, and weapons. For the most part, it succeeds in bringing back the gameplay, however, there are issues with a lack of content and such. With that said, AVA Global is still enjoyable and obviously easy to run on any PC. Next up is an awesome little pixel game called NECROBOUNCER PROLOGUE, a roguelike adventure where you become the NECROBOUNCER and toss out rowdy guests in the nightclub dungeon. Like all in the roguelike genre, you go through level after level, mowing down enemies and eventually getting to the bosses, which is a ton of fun due to the awesome gameplay and tons of upgrades. Obviously, the graphics are a huge draw too. The pixel nature works perfectly with all the chaos happening on screen and keeps you locked in. Unfortunately, this is only a prologue, so not the full game, but it's still free to play and really cool. Starting out today, and one of the funnier games on this list is Royale, a chaotic battle royale shooter inside a furniture store where everything is a weapon. 16 players drop into an idea, and you can pick up guns to literal couches in order to secure kills and the win. The gameplay and combat is fun, humor is infectious, and overall Royale is a really great time. Check it out. Next up today is Engine Evolution 2022, a multiplayer racing game that uses similar principles as World of Tanks. With each race against 11 other players, you gain experience and credits, which you can use to buy various upgrades for your vehicle or unlock newer ones. Made by a single developer during his university studies, this game is the sequel to EE 2021, which was an awesome free-to-play title. Gameplay is awesome, it's easy to pick up but has a good element of depth, but the main draw is the vast amount of content featuring 90 vehicles from 7 nations, 25 real and custom tracks, thousands of vehicle setups, and much more. AWOL is a huge throwback to first-person shooters like Duke Nukem 3D, especially as it's built on exactly the same engine. This brings a unique gameplay experience rarely seen nowadays, however it's been amplified to fit the 2022 market. The new additions include commanding your AI squad mates, more sophisticated enemies, and fully hand-drawn characters, all adding to the experience. Despite the older style, AWOL is definitely worth a look. Check it out. MultiVersus is the next generation of platform fighting games, going head-to-head against the juggernauts of Brawlhalla and Smash. MultiVersus lets you team up with or against your friends using some pretty iconic characters including Batman, Shaggy, Superman, Bugs Bunny, and more. There's a huge variety of maps, customization, and overall content, and it's obvious Warner Brothers is putting a lot behind this game. Graphically, this game is fantastic and the gameplay is awesome too. It's got that classic brawler style with a fresh coat of 2022 paint. MultiVersus overall is a super well-rounded package, definitely worth a try if you haven't already. This game is absolutely wild and it's called FPS Chess, a fast-paced 1 vs 1 class-based first-person shooter where the actual chess takes a back seat. You start by playing a normal game of chess, however taking out the pieces comes down to a shooter-based 1 vs 1 battle, where the most important pieces have the advantage. It's wild and unpredictable but incredibly unique, perfect for fans who want something a little bit different. Given this game is student made, I'm really impressed. It might not be the most optimized, but it's up there for fun. One of the funniest games available on Steam right now is Just Act Natural, a handcrafted online party game where players must hide among NPC characters to avoid detection from the Seeker. With this game, it requires you to be as deceitful as possible by fooling your friends across a variety of game modes. Now, one of the big aspects that makes this game special is the graphics, as everything is hand sculpted out of clay and photographically scanned into the game. The game also has a unique soundtrack too, which really adds a lot to the experience, and best of all, it's free to play but super easy to run, which means it's fantastic for everyone. Next up today is Omega Strikers, a free-to-play 3 vs 3 game that bleeds the line between Rocket League, League of Legends, and strategy games. In this game, you use attacks and abilities from a variety of different characters known as strikers to beat your opponents, attempting to score as many goals as possible. This game uses a 3 vs 3 format, with there being unranked, ranked, and private lobbies across a variety of maps, and this is a great combination. The quick match format makes it perfect for a game between studying or even waiting for a game queue. On top of this, it's also fairly easy to run, so low-spec fans, make sure to check this one out. Hopping on the party game theme, we have Deducto, an Among Us-like deduction game that brings us into a totally new setting of the workplace office. In Deducto, you play with 6 to 10 people as you either try stabbing everybody in the back or trying to find the murderers. It's definitely heavily inspired by Among Us and TTT, where you find the bodies, call a meeting, which is called a conference here, etc, etc. However, Deducto brings a completely new graphical style, new gameplay, new roles, and just an overall different experience. WW3 is an online multiplayer first-person shooter, taking a big page from Battlefield and other large-scale tactical shooters. In this game, you team up in huge 20 vs 20 battles, either on foot or in tanks or other vehicles, using a large variety of weapons to your advantage. It has really solid gameplay and great graphics with a very Battlefield-like user interface. On top of the 20 vs 20 mode, there is also classic team deathmatch, and these can be played on a variety of maps such as the streets of Warsaw, Berlin, Moscow, and more. Despite a horrible free-to-play launch, WW3 is now really quite stable and quite playable. Check it out if you haven't. One Armed Cook is next for today, a chaotic co-op cooking game that allows for up to 4 people. The premise is that either as a team or by yourself, you cook and try to take as many orders from the customers as possible. The twist? You only have one arm. From the weird graphics and the crazy physics, this game's all about having fun and doesn't take itself too seriously. The recipes are fairly straightforward to do, and it's less about the actual objective and more about just messing around with your friends, which is always a nice change. This game brings a breath of fresh air and players are absolutely loving it, with One Armed Cook having tons of positive reviews. Check it out. Marvel Snap is the next generation of online card games and innovates in the best way possible. Traditionally, card games are long and complex, however Marvel Snap changed it up by not only scratching the Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra itch, but also significantly reducing the match time to under 5 minutes, perfect for the PC and mobile. However, this doesn't compromise on strategy, as you'll still need to be on your toes to one-up your opponent. Deviating away from the core gameplay, Marvel Snap has a really fair monetization system and is perfectly viable for purely free-to-play players, which is awesome. Try it out on Steam or mobile. One of the biggest free-to-play moves this year is The Sims 4 going free-to-play for everyone, which to be honest, I did not expect at all. The Sims 4 is the latest addition to the Sims franchise and has a huge amount of content, upgrades, and new features, resulting in a super positive review rating. Now obviously, this doesn't come with the insane amount of expansions and DLCs, but there is more than enough content to last you for quite a while. Check it out on Steam for free. Shadowline is the next game for today, an arena first-person shooter that is inspired by Call of Duty, Apex Legends, Overwatch, and so on, but with the polish not seen from many free-to-play shooters. Shadowline features several traditional PvP modes such as TDM, Conquest, Plant the Bomb, and Escort, along with a roguelike co-op mode called Expedition. Players can choose a character known as operatives, along with 25 plus weapons that can be customized via attachments. Visually, the graphics not only look fantastic, but it doesn't require crazy specs, only needing an 8th gen i5, 8 gigs of RAM, and a GeForce 750 Ti. Coming in at the #1 spot, we have Warzone 2, and I think we all know why.